So if you're thinking about moving to Colorado, I'm sure there's some things that you've heard or some questions that you may have. Well, in this video, we're going to be confirming or debunking the top 10 myths when it comes to living in the Denver, Colorado area. From high cost of living to endless snow and crazy weather, we're going to be diving into all of it. So let's get right to it. All right, so starting off, let's talk weather, right? That's one of the primary reasons a lot of people move here. It also may be one of the primary reasons people decide not to move here. And chances are, if it's one of the reasons you're deciding to potentially not move here, it's because you think it's always cold and snowy. Well, fun fact, we have over 300 sunny days per year. We always tout on here that it's more sunny days than Florida. Doesn't mean that it's warmer than Florida all the time. Florida does get quite a bit of rain and cloud cover and stuff like that, as do a lot of coastal regions. But Colorado is notoriously known for how many sunny days we have. Even in the middle of winter, guys, it could be mid-January. Will and I are out showing homes. We're wearing t-shirt and pants, right? It is very important that you guys do layer up because it will be cold in the morning. It will be cold once the sun goes down. But once that sun does come up, guys, and there's no cloud cover, it can be mid-50s in mid-January. Problem. You know, and when it comes to the winter time, what I tell people is I feel like our real winter doesn't really start until about December, and it'll stay pretty cold from about December through about March, and we'll even get a lot of snow in April. We tend to have a later winter. October 31st, Halloween time, is right around the typical start of the cold season, but you know, it could still stay really, really warm all through November. Come December, though, we do have a real winter, but then it's just a few months. You start coming into April, and yes, we do have a lot of snow in April, but we also are starting to get a lot of warm days before moving into the springtime, which is honestly one of the absolute best times in Colorado, in addition to the fall time. We do have a hot summer. A lot of people also tend to think that it doesn't really get hot out here, and it does. We'll have a few weeks where it does start pushing the high 90s into the low hundreds, but the beautiful part about it, guys, is that we do not have hardly any humidity here at all. So it could be 98 degrees outside and you're my sunshine after the rain. Yes, you'll feel the heat of the sun, but it's not that icky, sticky, humid feeling like we have in a lot of other places. All right, guys, interrupting real quick to remind you that we are licensed real estate brokers in the state of Colorado. And as much as Will and I like making these videos, which we do, we'd love more to help you with your real estate needs. So there's a number popping up on the screen below. If you guys take a screenshot of that, if you're on your phone, if you're on your TV, take a picture with your phone, but throw us a phone call, text message, or email. We'd love to connect with you, jump on a Zoom call, and assist you with your move to Colorado. That being said, guys, let's get right back to the myths. Diving into myth number 2, Denver is surrounded by the mountains. Now, yes, we do have the Rocky Mountains. We're in the Rocky Mountains, right? But Denver itself is not. Matter of fact, none of the Denver metro areas, or even the majority of the cities that we talk about on our channel here, are in the mountains. We are really just an urban sprawling area where you can see the mountains. Obviously, the Rocky Mountains, you look west anywhere and you're going to see them. They are gorgeous, but by no means is this mountain living. Now, that does change as soon as you cross over into the foothills into, let's say, like Evergreen or Conifer or even Morrison as you start getting out there on the west side. But outside of that, this is not mountain living. One important thing to note is that a lot of people that are coming here, if they do start looking in those evergreen sort of areas, that is straight mountain living. Even though you're not too far into the mountains, you know, maybe 10, 15 minutes or so, it is going to change dramatically as far as how much snow you're going to get, how much the snow sticks around, and just the things that you will need from a day-to-day lifestyle perspective. For example, if you live in any of the other metro areas, a snow shovel for your driveway whenever it does snow is going to suffice, and that's going to be perfect. A snowblower, always recommended. It's going to make your life that much easier. But as soon as you cross over into the foothills and start getting into the mountains a little bit, that might change to a four-wheeler with a plow that you might need, or a big snowblower, just depending on the length of your driveway. It can go, as I say, like 0 to 100 real quick as soon as you get into the mountains. If you're looking in any of the other Denver metro areas, it's just normal urban suburban living. No need for anything special. All right, myth number 3. This one's always a funny one, but marijuana is not everywhere. All right. Yes, it is legal out here, but it is very, very regulated. And for the most part, from my observations, is that people tend to respect and observe the regulations. For example, really you're supposed to treat it just like alcohol, where you're not just going to be walking down the street drinking a beer or taking shots, right? Just like you shouldn't be walking down the street smoking marijuana. And the same goes with driving. Now, this isn't to say you're never going to smell it, especially if you're like walking down in Boulder out on the street where, yes, somebody might be doing it around a corner or something, but it's definitely not one of those things that is in your face all the time, or where you're going to have to be super concerned about your children being exposed to it or anything like that. Again, yes, it is legal here. It's been legal for a very long time. And from my experience, people are pretty respectful of the law, and it's not something that is really going to be an issue out here. And we're downtown quite often. We're in all these other major metro cities all the time, and it tends to be that same way across the board. Again, once in a while you'll smell it, here and there, but it's definitely not something that is part of everyday life, unless you're choosing to make it a part of your everyday life. Moving along to myth number 4, the high altitude makes it really, really hard to breathe. Yes, we are a mile high, right? 5280. Mile High Property Brothers, right? We call ourselves that for a reason. So we do have high altitude here. However, people tend to accommodate fairly quickly. They say that after about 60 days living here in Colorado, your breathing is completely up to speed and you really shouldn't feel the altitude impact you that much. However, if you are coming out here to visit, or let's say you're coming out here to go hiking or go do some sort of outdoor activity like skiing or snowboarding, yeah, you're going to feel a little extra short of breath, but is it anything extreme? I mean, personally, unless you have some sort of medical condition or something like that, which that is a very real factor. If you do have some sort of medical condition, check with your physician, make sure that high altitude isn't going to negatively impact you. Barring any sort of condition like that, you will feel a little short of breath if you're doing these activities. But I mean, man, I'll even be showing a home, and if we're in a basement and we're coming back upstairs and I hit the basement flight of stairs, and then we're going to the top level and hit another flight of stairs, even me, I'll be out of breath, but I'm probably just have bad cardio or something like that. I don't know if it's the altitude, but people do adjust here pretty quickly. Again, 60 days in, you really shouldn't notice it much at all. However, whether you're visiting or you live here, it is very important to hydrate, in addition to just how much sun and how dry it can be out here. Having water with you everywhere you go is definitely something that I always focus on doing and recommend you guys as well. Myth number 5, it's expensive to live in Colorado. Now, this one I'm going to say is definitely a myth. Not fully, because, Colorado does have higher costs of living than a lot of the other states that are in the nation. It's also quite a bit less than a lot of the other popular cities that are out there. In general, you're looking at Colorado being about 30% higher cost of living than the national average. But you're also looking at Colorado being about 30% more affordable than a lot of the other popular areas like a California or a New York and a lot of places on the East Coast. So it is a really good happy medium. Yes, it's not the cheapest place to live, but it also is far from the most expensive. And a lot of the people that are coming here from East Coast or California, they honestly can't believe what you can get out here for the same dollar that gets them in their previous home state. Your dollar will go a lot further out here. Now, when you're comparing it to the rest of the national average, you also want to look at how much more potentially you're going to get paid out here for doing the same sort of job, because that's another factor that coincides almost perfectly with the higher cost of living, is also the higher income potential for moving out here. Now, an important thing to note here is that when it comes to the higher cost of living, it is almost solely focused in the home buying area, the housing expenses. All of the other cost of living factors that get taken into consideration when you're looking here in Colorado are almost all on par with the rest of the national average. It is just housing that is the 30% more expensive part. And I mean, frankly, when you look at the state and the beauty that it has to offer and everything that bringing you to Colorado, in my opinion, it is well worth that 30% because the state is absolutely gorgeous and it is such a beautiful and perfect place to live. So in my personal opinion, the 30% is worth it. But as you're looking at your budget and your calculations and stuff, like, just take all of that into consideration, but don't forget to look at the higher income potential. All right, diving into myth number 6. Wildlife is everywhere. Now, this is one that I would say is partway true. In the Denver metro area and the surrounding cities, you're not going to have much wildlife. Where you are going to start to have your wildlife is as you get closer to the mountains or further down south, which also is getting you closer to the mountains. All right. Now, don't think that you're going to see mountain lions trolling through your Castle Rock neighborhood or anything like that. Even though I have seen it maybe once or twice, not literally seen it, but heard about it maybe once or twice. But for the most part, wildlife is trying to avoid you, and it's not going to be a part of your day-to-day living. Now, I'm out here in Elizabeth, which is down in like Southeast Parker. We do have a lot of deer out here. There's turkeys out here even. In Parker, you're going to see a lot of deers. Castle Rock, you're going to see a lot of deer. So deer are pretty prevalent as you start getting more south and out west. When it comes to predators like bears and mountain lions, things like that, those are going to be fairly limited to just straight up living in the mountains. Even mountain lions are a rare sighting up there. Up in Evergreen and Conifer, you'll see more bear sightings and stuff like that. People might have their wildlife cams out where they are capturing a mountain lion, but it's not like you're just going to be living in Denver, going and jumping in your car to work in the morning, and there's going to be a mountain lion in your back seat. Also, tying into wildlife, let's talk bugs and insects. I mentioned earlier how dry it is in Colorado, and that drastically impacts how few bugs we have here. You'll get some mosquitoes around bodies of water, or if you're out walking on a trail, you'll find a couple spiders in your basements, but nothing too crazy. I'm out here in Elizabeth, like I said, and this is straight up just rural, like kind of country living, and I even hardly see any snakes out here. Now, if you are out hiking or on a trail, you're definitely going to want to watch out for some snakes. We do have rattlesnakes out here, but even those are few and far between. If you're hiking and just being conscious, it's not anything that you need to be too worried about. We have bull snakes out here on trails also, non-poisonous, but they are aggressive. So we'll have normal sort of wildlife. Again, just nothing crazy that you need to be overly concerned about. And I'm telling you, if you're coming from a place with humidity like Florida or Texas, for example, you're going to be so happy with how little bugs there are out here. I'm telling you, that's something that you might not even appreciate or realize how many bugs are in your state until you come to Colorado and really just get to be outside and enjoy the weather without having to worry about gigantic bugs flying everywhere. Now, myth number 7, you need a big 4x4 vehicle, right? You need a big 4-wheel drive truck or SUV or something that is going to power you through all the massive snow that we get here. Definitely a myth, all right? This is one Will and I will make jokes and we'll kind of go back and forth on. Is it recommended to have 4-wheel drive? Absolutely. Colorado is definitely a driving state. You're going to want a vehicle when you come out here. With that vehicle, you're also going to want to get out if it has happened to snow. If you're in a 2-wheel drive vehicle, you're not going to have a good time in the snow. Will you be able to get everywhere that you need to go? Definitely not everywhere, but there are plenty of people here that have just a normal 2-wheel drive vehicle, right? So you don't need a 4x4, but it is definitely recommended. If you don't have a 4x4 and it snows, just try and stay at home because you don't want to be that guy sitting at the stoplight, just spinning your front wheels where you can't get any traction and then you're holding up the rest of traffic. So recommended, yes. Needed, not necessarily. Moving along, myth number 8 is that public transportation is non-existent. This is something that, we'll hear from some people that are coming over here that are concerned about where they need to go. And this is one that I would say non-existent, not by any means. We definitely have public transportation. Is it as expansive as it is in some other major metro cities? Definitely not. So you're going to have our light rail is our tram system. It's our train system, right? That's what it's called, light rail out here. It's really good north and south. It runs right along I-25. And then it's got branches east and west that go out to Arvada, Lakewood, Lone Tree, all the way out to the airport now, which is huge. But even that airport line, that just popped up a few years ago. If you're living downtown, you can definitely get around where you need to go via light rail. We do obviously have public bus system. Is it as robust as other cities? Like I said before, no, not really. That is an area that I think Colorado could see some improvement. But again, tying back to my last point, this is exactly why we say you're going to want a vehicle when you live out here, because you're going to want to get off the tram system. You're going to want to go have fun and explore Colorado and do Colorado things. What you'll see here is that a lot of people, they'll use the light rail. If you're not using it for everyday work, you're using it to maybe get downtown to some baseball games or some football games. It is good for that. Again, if you're living downtown, it is pretty expansive up there. So if you're living and working downtown, you can kind of take light rail anywhere you need to go. But if you're living in more of the suburban areas, plan on having that vehicle for sure. Moving along, number 9, everyone in Colorado is an outdoor enthusiast.
Oh, another day of sun. What should we do today? Should we head up to the mountains and go mountain biking, hiking, fishing, climbing? yakking?
Definitely not. Definitely not. And I can attest to that because I myself am not an outdoor enthusiast. Are there a lot of people here that love going on hikings and rafting and skiing and snowboarding and camping and just doing all the things? Absolutely. It is a big part of the state. I'm one that, man, I've never climbed a 14er. I'm not going out on hikes all the time. Skiing and snowboarding, maybe I'll go once a year, but even then, like, no, not really. With those outdoor activities, it's just something that a lot of people do love and they come here for. For me, my outdoor activity is being able to like go on a walk at night with the family or sit outside at a restaurant and enjoy the nice temperate Colorado weather, right? That's my sort of outdoor activity. So I do love the outdoors, and Colorado is a year-long outdoor state, which is one of my favorite things about it. Earlier I mentioned, mid-January, we're out showing homes in t-shirt and jeans. Yep, that's 100% it. Like you can be outside year long. There's never any gaps of time where it's like no one's going outside for 2 or 3 months, like you might see in some heavy Midwestern cities that just have really terrible winters, or like Texas or Florida where it just gets so hot, or Arizona where it gets so hot in the summertime that you don't even want to be outside. That part is non-existent in Colorado. So even though you don't need to be a major outdoor enthusiast when you're coming out here, I bet when you get out here, you might actually turn into one. And that brings me to our 10th myth, that the air is always super dry out here. This one, I would say, is pretty accurate. It's not something that you're going to go and like be hyper aware of and notice, and it's going to bother you all the time. But again, we just don't have that much humidity out here. I do like use lotion a lot. People use lotion a lot. Staying hydrated is absolutely key, and always bring some chapstick with you. I think if you've got like water, chapstick, and some lotion at home, you're going to be in good shape. The pros and the cons of having like no humidity versus high humidity, I think there is definitely way more pros to being low humidity like we are than the alternative. Another factor of this, like just to show you guys that yes, our air is always dry, is a lot of the homes out here will come with a whole house humidifier that's attached to the furnace. Some people think that this is like for health reasons, like you might put a humidifier in a bedroom or something when you have a cold, but no, really it's to keep your home and your wood floors and your furniture and everything like moisturized. Because they would say, hey, if you didn't have those humidifiers and you have real wood floors, your wood floors might separate or crack a little bit. Nothing detrimental, but again, they do put those whole house humidifiers in so that your house doesn't start suffering, like particularly the wood floors, furniture, things like that. Kind of an interesting thing when I learned why they put those whole house humidifiers in. But again, that part, don't need to worry about. Your house is taken care of. However, take your water with you, bring your chapstick, have some lotion nearby. You're going to be perfectly happy. So I hope you guys like that top 10 list of myths. But guys, they weren't all myths, right? A lot of those were actually true or had shreds of truth within them. But a lot of these questions are ones that we get when we're on Zoom calls with you guys, going over your personal situation about why you may be moving to Colorado and helping you guys go over your wants and needs. And really, that's exactly why you should call that number below, because that's what we do. We jump on a Zoom call with you guys. We find out your specific situation, what's bringing you to Colorado, and help you identify some places that are going to work best for you in your particular situation. So that number on the screen, that was a phone call, text message, or email. We'd love to help you out. And hey, I got to tell you, Will says hi. He is out running around showing homes with you guys as we speak, but I wanted to get this video out to you. But Will said, hey, show the guys my love. I'm out here in the trenches doing the thing, helping our clients from the channel. So we appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.